So, Bob, out of all of the years you've been involved with this, what kind of message would you give to younger people, new generations and future generations who are interested in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and cryptozoology in general? What would you say to them who are looking to be more involved and to get involved in this work as researchers and explorers?
Yeah. I'd say treat them like your neighbor, or even better, and try to get closer to them and try to understand why they're like they are, that they don't want fire and a bed to sleep in and all of that. So it's kind of a tough thing to talk about because we don't really know what we're dealing with. And so forth, there is folks that say they communicate with them. Well, they probably do, but they're the most fortunate ones because we all can't communicate with them because we don't have the time or the efforts to get out there. There's a lot of field researchers out there that spend a lot of time, but the time that they spend out there, they're searching for evidence that they can make some money on.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. You get to watch me beat this guy in bowling. I'm gonna slaughter him. So
I really hope that's not true.
Yeah.
I really hope it's not true.
Yeah. And Bob came out. Thank you to Bob for coming out.
Well,
and
hey, I couldn't miss it.
Use your big boy voice.
Because you told me there was going to be
You're doing a
food
fine
here.
job.
But we appreciate you guys coming out. We went down to Houston, did the live show. Funny story, my wallet got stolen at Portland Airport on my way out. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay. So my wallet got stolen on my way here, and but there was no money in it. And so when he walked, it's a long story, a lot of heartache. But anyway, he walked out, there was no money in it, so he threw it off onto the ground. So I got my wallet back. And then 2 days later, we go to pick up Merkel, and his wallet, he got pickpocketed. And the exact same thing, they went through his wallet, there was no money in it, so they just kind of left it. What are the odds of two guys getting their wallet stolen?
So it's actually fortunate that you're a podcast host and make no money.
Yeah.
Actually, it's good.
Yeah. But you know, with the shows that we do, you don't know who's watching us, and maybe they're trying to give us a sign, send us a sign. We're watching you.
Never
His
steal a
wallet,
poor
take my
man's wallet.
Well, I wish they'd have got my wallet because there wouldn't have been any money in it to start with.
But do you guys have any questions? Thought we'd have fun, hang out, outside of this room. Does anyone have any questions for Bob or yes, sir?
Wes, I know you always ask everybody typically at the end of the show, what are your thoughts? What do you think Sasquatch is? I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Great question. Anyone else got any questions? No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, that's why I never gave anyone a hard time because no one truly knows. You know what I mean?
Why am I
So you can't really boo-hoo one idea because no one really knows. But an unknown creature that walks upright.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's Bob's perspective.
What do you think Sasquatch is, Bob? Bob will shoot you straight. Unlike me, I'm more of a politician.
Hey, I'm just here to meet everybody and listen.
Well, he won't shoot you straight. You get a politician. That's okay.
Hey, listen to Tony and he'll tell me a little bit of the truth. Once in a while, if I wrap him up alongside the head, he'll say, "This is really true, Bob."
Oh man.
Any other question?
I do.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
This is for you, Bob. I want to know if you will be writing a book about your entire experiences.
Well, they were all bad.
Doesn't matter. Good and bad.
Yeah, the question was, is Bob going to write a book on his experiences?
Oh, when I get time.
No fair.
I can answer that for you. Yeah, I would never speak for Bob. Because when somebody asks him a question, that's for him to answer. But Bob and I have,
What does doctors say? still say about when you say butt?
Anytime
Throw
you say
away
butt.
everything in front of it.
Okay, yeah. I've been working on Bob's documentary, and I'm also putting it down to paper as well.
Good.
That was something that he and I discussed a couple years ago with his wife Judy, that I can do his documentary and put on paper.
Yeah.
So, and that's taken a lot of time. Right now, that's the end result of not just a documentary on film, but we will have a book out, but it takes a lot of time, just a lot of interviews. And over the next couple of years, that's all I'm doing, is just gathering material and timelines and everything, and putting it on, just like he's doing with his camera. You get everything on film first, so that you can address it later and just kind of put everything in chronological order. But yes.
Good.
Short question, yes.
Good, thank you, that's good.
Thank
to
you,
know.
Russ. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Wes, I think you said probably 10% of the phone calls that you get make it to air, or stories make it to air. What are some of the things that we aren't hearing just in this room amongst friends? Or like are you screening stuff, or is it, or some like cool stories that we'll never get to hear because the person just said, hey, don't tell anybody, I just need to vent to you, or what are you hearing?
Yeah, a lot of those. With those, you'll get a lot of cops and a lot of people in professional positions that don't want to come on the air and talk. Like there's one guy, and I won't tell you which episode it is, but one of the craziest encounters you ever heard. He's one of the, I don't know how to put it, best heart surgeons in the world. If you were dying, you'd go to this man on the East Coast. And he had one of the craziest encounters you ever heard, but I never mentioned that. Never said what he did for a living. And so it's a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't want to come on because they're cops or their professions don't want to come on the air.
Do they come talk to you, and after they talk, they're like, hey, you know what, second thought, don't tell anyone, or say, do they just vent?
Say that again?
Do they end up wanting to go on air, and at the very last second they stop, or
No, they'll tell me at the beginning. They don't want it on the air. Yeah.
They just need to vent to you, I guess?
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I still want to hear like a juicy story, so.
Oh, I got you.
Remember, he's filming though.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Go ahead, boss. What were you gonna ask?
Hey, Bob, how, in your mind, back in the day when you originally, the Bluff Creek footage, how big was the Sasquatch movement and culture compared to now in 2019? I mean, is it just exploded since then, or was Bigfoot and Sasquatch as popular then as it is now?
How popular?
Well,
oh, you got it.
oh,
Go ahead.
no, it's come so far in 51 years. I'm really pleased how far it's come. All you folks right here, it means something to you. Back then, you were the laughing stock of the town. And I went on that way for 35 years until 2003. I went down to Willow Creek to a conference, and surprisingly, when I got up to speak, everybody stood up and said, hey, and I thought, hey, God dang, this is a lot of fun. And so since then, I've gone to quite a few different conferences, the ones that I was able to make or had the time frame to get there. But I appreciate get-togethers like this so we can talk to each other and just pass experiences.
We appreciate y'all guys coming down.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for coming out. Yes, sir.
Kind of a nuts and bolts question from what I've listened to both your podcasts incessantly.
You listen to his?
Occasionally.
Can't imagine. I'm just teasing you. Go.
No, it's really good, thank you.
It is good. It is good.
You tell stories, most of them come on the air about the kill teams, how they deal with these things. I've heard stories how to get them off your property. And these things are obviously defeatable, but what's the nuts and bolts? What do these kill teams use? What's the recommended loadout? What is the stats for, I'm a gun guy, sorry, but I want to know, what are they using? What ammunition, what guns, so they can control them, or the sound, who's done them, I don't know. How do you defeat the ultrasound? How do you combat something like this? Or if you don't have the answer, where do I go? That's a big, I don't understand.
I had a guy on one time, I can't remember what episode it was, and he talked about that. He talked about the caliber size and everything. I'll see if I can't find it. But I mean, at the end of the day, who knows? You know what I mean? Really, who knows?
I just, you know, I'm not a militia guy. I'm not a patriot. I'm prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Everything and everything.
Texas, man.
Yes, this is Texas. I'm surprised they didn't give you.
When the end of the world comes, I'm coming here.
They didn't get you a gun at the airport. Go back to
Anyways, there's a lady right there.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Violet. And as far as thinking about what gun to use, what everything, what you have to do is do the research on the hunters at the time killed gorillas. And it's all recommended the same because the weight is the same, the girth of the gorilla and what they used to stop them will be used to stop.
Violet, you seem like such a sweet woman to
have. I was surprised. Hold on.
My husband is a senior range officer, so I picked this up.
I gotcha.
But as much as I understand the need for killing one,
yeah, it's
not in my heart to do so.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I would understand why one would have to be called. It's the only one.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question for Tony.
Oh.
Sorry. How do you find people to be on your podcast? Do you find them or they find you?
Not anymore.
Because I know a lot of people call Wes.
I same thing.
People call you?
Yeah, I get contacted a lot. Like I probably get about 20 to 30 emails a day, and I have, you know, just tell you guys. I mean, I'm booked with at least 2 interviews a weekend from now till mid-October. So constantly working. So when I first started and stuff, just put myself out there with what I could, with stories and stuff. Like the very first episode, Sasquatch saw 2, or the farmer saw 2 Sasquatch in Pennsylvania. That's a guy I was talking to for a while because I had a group called Pennsylvania Sasquatch Research, and I asked him, I said, hey, you want to come on the show? And he said, yeah. And so from there, I had 1 episode. And right from the beginning of the show, when I started the show, one of the first things I started doing was I started really working hard on cross promotion. I was reaching out to any podcast that was similar to mine in content or whatever, and I'd say, hey, we do cross promotion because I wanted to get exposure to their audiences. And that's how the show grew, and it grew really fast, a snowball effect. And now it has a mind of its own. It just goes now. I just gotta make sure I don't blow it up, you know?
Yeah, awesome. I asked them, how do we find you?
Yeah.
So
this is for Mr. Gimlin. What was
Bob.
it like knowing
That's
Evel
Bob.
Knievel? Bob.
You can call him Bob.
What was it like knowing Evel Knievel?
Oh,
What was it like knowing Evel Knievel?
It was really something else. A lot of people couldn't understand Bob Knievel at all. I was lucky enough to be a pretty close friend of his, and he was either daylight or dark. There was no shade in between, and if you didn't like him, he didn't give a rip. Because that was before he became Evel Knievel, when I knew him, when we raced together. He was quite a bit younger than me, but I liked the guy a lot. A lot of people didn't like him because he didn't care.
If you could do it again, and you could not go Sasquatch, would you go Evel Knievel instead? If you could change that path of your life?
Well, yeah, I had, like I said, he's quite a bit younger than me, and I had a family. I couldn't go when he asked me to go with him before he became Evel Knievel. He was just Bob Knievel back then. And so he asked me to go do the same things he did. And he said, Bob, you're about as crazy as I am. He said, why don't we go do some daredevil stuff? And I said, hey, I know a guy here in Yakima by the name of Bob Keith, and he's doing daredevil stuff, and I'm loaning him money. So I said, we can't make no money doing that. Well, when he became Evel Knievel, it changed his entire life, and he did dramatically dangerous things, and he got paid well for it, but he paid an awful price at the end. He died young.
Tony, would you ever consider taking anybody out on expeditions?
I used to do that. I haven't gone out in a while because the show takes up so much of my time now. But yeah, of course, I used to always look for people to go out hiking with and stuff. It's just my biggest thing was I go off trail, and I needed somebody that was going to be willing to do that and actually do it. Not willing to do it, but actually do it. You get in some goofy spots sometimes. I'm not Les Stroud, so sometimes you find yourself in a situation like should have thought this through, and when I get through this and I get home, I'm not telling my wife. So, but yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Bob, so it's been 40, 50 years since your encounter. Are you at all disappointed that you still don't have evidence, you still don't have proof? Society hasn't evolved a whole lot on the topic. I mean, how do you feel about it 40, 50 years later?
Well, my take on that is we, as all of you folks and everybody else out there, has come so far in the 51 plus years and have advanced that much to the interest that you have and the different people that come and talk about their experiences and what happened to them. They didn't used to do that. They keep everything a secret because they were just branded as crazy and all of that, which I went through that early in the first 35 years of the film footage. People in my hometown would say, geez, and my wife took a lot of ridicule, and they'd say, we thought old Bob had a little common sense. He goes down there and somebody in a suit, he takes a picture of somebody in a suit and he's trying to make people believe it. What's wrong with the guy anyway? Hey, did he lose his mind? And I went through so much that it's hard to explain it. My wife would come home crying and saying, because she worked at a savings and loan institution on the line, and she was just a sitting duck for these people to come in and harass her about it. And so, yeah, I was pretty bitter about it for the first 35 years. And then, like I said, when I went down to Willow Creek and spoke down there, it was just great. And so I've been doing it ever since.
We got time for two more. Go ahead.
Do y'all, and this is for any of y'all gentlemen, do y'all ever worry that if this species is found, that could potentially lead to not only the full eradication of the species, but, and this sounds kind of hippy-dippy, I apologize, but the full eradication of the species, or if they would be zooed like animals, as opposed to just kind of letting them be and living out in the wild. Does that ever cross your mind? That double-edged sword of actually finding the species and that potentially happening?
Are you worried that if it's proven, they'll be killed off or put into zoos?
Well, I think we've come far enough now that we as a group of Bigfoot folks would not allow that, by numbers only. And they might try that, but they're too humanoid to be put into a zoo to start with. And to put one into a zoo, it wouldn't last any time anyway. Captivity would be the cruelest thing you could ever do to a Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
I probably should have gone first because Bob will yell at me later, but no, it doesn't bother me one bit.
I'm indifferent on it.
Excuse me.
As far as like being zooed, I question what that would even look like. I mean, the way these things are described, I've never seen one. The way they're described, you can't even fathom it. Like his encounter story, when you hear him tell his story and stuff, the way he describes it moving, I personally can't picture it in my mind. No matter how many times I've heard him say it, I can't picture how these things move. And so caging it is something I can't even fathom. And the strength that these have, that supposedly they have, people suggest that maybe it's 10, chimpanzees or something. That's crazy. That's insane strength. But as far as killing them off and stuff, maybe there could be poaching involved at some point, but if these things are as smart as we think they are, and they maintain to be this elusive, this long, I think if they saw us coming in and actually being successful hunting them down, which I don't think is really going to be that successful, I think they'd have a counteract to that, whether it's towards us or excluding themselves even more.
I agree with Dr. Krantz. One should be killed.
That's fair.
One should be killed. Doesn't mean you slaughter them all, but one should be killed. Because then it gets permanent at that point.
Right.
And the notion that everyone's gonna go out and hunt them afterwards, no, ain't gonna happen. It's a good way to get killed.
Very true.
Yes, sir.
Wes, do you have the same kind of load that Tony does, where you're just booked up after all these people trying to approach you? And what was that? Anonymity, Anonymity. Have you ever heard from those guys yet?
What was the first question?
Do you have the same kind of workload with a lot of people trying to approach you, emails, working on a lot of shows?
Yeah.
Booked up for a year?
Yes.
Or more?
Yes. And I've never heard from the guys from the Siege anymore. I can contact them. They don't live there anymore, though. That's what I've heard from them. But I'll get you, man. You did great.
Actually, my question was somewhat answered.
Oh, okay.
My perspective of going out there and hunting them, of course, is not, I'm not with that, because I understand that they are more human-like, just through my own experiences. So my question was, and curiosity to Bob, that if the species was found to be so without a kill, would they be on some endangered species list? In your perspective, that do you think that they should be, so that they aren't hunted? Because I find that once that there is one, everyone's going to want one. Everyone's going to want to do it, and I don't like the idea of that at all.
Well, I didn't hear all of what you said, but
So the question was, do you think? Say it one more time.
In your perspective, do you feel as though they should be on some sort of an endangered species list if they were somehow to be found to be there and subsequently right there in front of us, where one is found out, whether it's by film or however it's done, without being shot? Do you feel that they should be put on some sort of an endangered species list where they're preventatively being saved from being hunted?
Do you think they should be on an endangered species list?
Well, yes, they should be. But there's a Stevens County in the state of Washington that has already done that.
Yes.
And
I'm aware of that.
if it just spread a little further out, but the trouble of it is, you got to know more about the creatures to be able to legally put it on the endangered species list. So until we learn more about what to deal with and what they really are, I don't think it'll ever fly. I don't think they'll ever be able to get it done unless they shoot one or something and the body has been proven to be humanoid type. It won't go on the endangered species list, except the Stevens County, state of Washington. It's got an,
You guys know that, right? It's illegal to shoot one in Washington State. It's $10,000 fine and what, 10 years in prison?
Yeah.
It's a real law.
In seriousness, or was that kind of a?
No, it's a real law. Yeah, it's a real law in Washington State.
It's really interesting because it was actually adopted on April 1st. So I think that there could be a potentiality of it being a joke, but the idea that it's implemented to me, I find very pleasing, so.
even in Stevens County, if you go out prior to hunting season with a rifle and you're caught, you're already fined. Or any kind of weapon other than a handgun. And they allow handguns for bear or cougar, and there's lots of cougar in the mountains there. So consequently, to be able to be caught with a rifle, prior to hunting season is a pretty heavy fine.
Shed one quick thing. So, Bob, out of all of the years you've been involved with this, what kind of message would you give to younger people, new generations and future generations who are interested in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and cryptozoology in general? What would you say to them who are looking to be more involved and to get involved in this work as researchers and explorers?
Yeah. I'd say treat them like your neighbor, or even better, and try to get closer to them and try to understand why they're like they are, that they don't want fire and a bed to sleep in and all of that. So it's kind of a tough thing to talk about because we don't really know what we're dealing with. And so forth, there is folks that say they communicate with them. Well, they probably do, but they're the most fortunate ones because we all can't communicate with them because we don't have the time or the efforts to get out there. There's a lot of field researchers out there that spend a lot of time, but the time that they spend out there, they're searching for evidence that they can make some money on. And money.
And what's the worth of a dead animal that we don't understand?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys ready to bowl? On that happy note? Thank you guys.
If you liked this video, be sure to check out our other content and get connected on our page and social media sites. Every day, new discoveries are being made all across the world and beyond, so let's work together to find out what's next. And remember, we won't know if we don't go. I'll see you in the Vortex.